All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. I
Good.
can hear you loud and clear.
All right. So thankful to you, Vinod, for taking your valuable time for this dialogue on well-being. I know it's a subject close to your heart from what I've seen from your interviews and what I've known you for many years. Your focus on ethics and your simplicity and your leadership, which is I would closely call it servant leadership. You always give credit to your team and a remarkable leader. And under your leadership, Aisha has really grown to new heights. So today we're going to focus on well-being. So let's start with what does well-being mean to you?
Uh, for me, the well-being is the outcome. Uh, I think there are various things which are important for well-being to be there. Uh, the most important is that all of us have to recognize that people are our most important assets, and uh, we can increase their output, or they have the unlimited potential to contribute, whereas the machine and material, they will have some limits on their capacities, but uh, human beings or manpower, they have the unlimited potential. Now it's up to us
All
how we
right. And if that is the case, then why we find around the globe employees are feeling an all-time isolation. Some of it is due to pandemic also. But in US Surgeon General has issued a report talking about the mental issues at the workplace and the toxic environment at the workplace. And so what can leaders around the globe can do to really, rather than paying lip service, to really care for their well-being of their employees and themselves? Yeah.
That's a very, very unfortunate situation that we come across all such instances. However, if we consider people as most important assets, then we have to focus on all the things which are most important. And to me, the most important is that uh, the people engagement uh, has to be there. Now, if people engagement has to be created, then I think your system, your values, first of all, most of the companies, they define their values very well. They are very well document things, but these are not followed in letter and in spirit. Uh, so therefore, it is very important that the values are absolutely lived, and these are possible if the top man, or if the uh, or you can say starting with the chairman of the company, uh, if he lives the values, if we do walk the talk, uh, then of course you give very good examples on your values. So if you live your values, that gives some sort of very, very, you can say, very big assurance to people that this organization is the right organization. uh, and then second is how we deal with different situations, like you mentioned about COVID. uh, when COVID happened, we have seen a number of companies, they immediately went ahead and then said, okay, let's cut down the costs. And what did they do to cut down the costs? They started removing people left and right. There were sudden layoffs, or sudden people were not paid salaries, or you took a lot of knee-jerk actions. Uh, However, some of the organizations did a better thing. They said, "Ki okay, there is a pain in the system. Uh, why not everyone takes the cut in the salary, rather than you can reduce 15% of your manpower, or you can cut down 15% of the salaries. It will give you the same result." Uh, so when you collectively wear the pain, that is one big contributor to the well-being. So this is one example. Second example is uh, how you deal with, for example, mistakes. If there are, uh, if people commit some mistakes, how you deal with it. Some companies may say, okay, if there is someone has done the mistake, we must penalize him and fix him and do the appraisal and evaluation and say, okay, this person is no good. This person needs to be fired. And the other option is that you adopt the developmental approach, where you see that there is a mistake, you learn from the mistakes. And if you learn from the mistakes, then in fact, the situation is much better if you allow people to learn from the mistakes, because where is the guarantee that if you get a new person in his place, he will not commit the same mistake? Whereas the chances are that if someone has committed the mistakes, if he is a good, prudent person, he will not repeat that mistake. So therefore, how do you deal with that situation if there are any such things? Third is, the fear. Suppose there is a fear in the minds of people that I will lose my job or something. If it happens, I'm going to get this. I will, if they have that sort of a stigmas in their minds, absolutely, you are not doing the well-being of people. Then, of course, those people, you cannot say that they are you are living the well-being or you care for the well-being of people. Therefore, we have to remove the fear. People should not be fearful that they will. Layoffs should be the last resort. There are so many other things which you can do before you start getting into the layoffs. Like if we can give you a number of examples from the iShare group. I think before you came in 90s, before that in mid 80s, there were plans where we rationalized a lot of operations. We had 3 different plants where we used to make tractors, and then we rationalized the operations. Even at that point of time, in those periods, when the HR was not that very well known or the processes were not mature, even at that point, our chairman thought that we should not, sack anyone. Even though we are rationalizing, we redeployed people, we moved people. Even the workmen moved. That was the first example when the workmen moved from one plant to the other. And after that, we followed that through in number of cases. No, that's the type of thing. If you are having that sort of values in the company, well-being is assured. I think another example could be when a person has that feeling, okay, if something happens to my family or someone gets sick in my family, how will I be dealt with in the organization? Or if I fall sick, how will I be dealt with in the organization? Will they throw me out? That you are no good now, your health is bad, so we don't want you. Or the company will say, okay, you are not good, you are not well, we will take care of you, we will help you to get the best of the treatment. If there is someone in the family who is not doing well, we will give you special medical approval, we'll take care of you. Because how many such cases happen? They are very, very few. But if people have that sort of an assurance that if something happens to me, I am not alone. There is organization which is going to take care of me. That is well-being. That contributes to the well-being. And then if the people have that sort of assurance, they are highly engaged. And if they are highly engaged, then they are willing to give their life and blood to the organization. And they are so committed and they will go out of the way. And that's what we experience that day in and day out. People, that's why we say people have the unlimited potential. So you can unleash that potential if you live the values, or if you treat people in a good manner. I think absolutely that's the unlimited potential which you can get.
Well, thank you so much for putting it so nicely. And I think you are absolutely correct in the sense that companies where values, well-being is part of their deep values, it becomes very easy for us to take it to a new level. Now, well-being is not a new thing. If you look back 100 years ago, almost 100 years ago, Tatas were the first home where they were so caring for their employees. And to date, they remain very caring. They created even the housing facilities for their workers. 100 years ago, I don't think there's any company
Yeah.
which was even thinking about that. So I think now my question is that, of course, things have changed now. And how do you plan to take this well-being of employees, which is already ingrained in the values of Aisher? How do you plan to take it to the next level?
Next level is you have to continue to remain at it, because you can never say that you are the best. There are so many things which still can be done. Like you should always remain very, very empathetic to people. You must understand that where is the stress coming from. The biggest culprit is the stress. So you should find out the reasons of stress. Reasons of stress could be coming from the fear of losing the job, or your health not being okay, or the company performance evaluation system not being okay, or there is a lot of politicking happening in the organization. Uh, like for example, very clearly in our system, like we know it very clearly that we are very straightforward and we don't want any politics to happen. Now, how you can cut it? Suppose someone comes to me and starts talking about another person on his back, that
Right.
so and so is doing this or so and so is doing. No, one option is I would enjoy that. I will listen to it and I will encourage that. Okay, keep on coming to me with this type of feedback, this type of information. So that is the start of politicking. If I say, okay, hold on, let's take that person online. Then let's talk to him. If you are saying that we can discuss jointly, you kill the politics. I think those are the type of examples. When you say that, how do you take it to the next level? You have to ensure that this is done across the organization, not in a few pockets, or not. You have to see that this is deployed down the line. Like for example, you will see most of the organization, they have a lot of problems of IR. There are strikes, there are union related problems. Now, my clear perception is that these problems also start from the top.
Okay.
You are saying that you are fair, but you are not fair. You do something uh, which is not right. You are trying to exploit the weaker sections of society, and then of course they also become that much adamant that okay, we will also see. So that is fundamentally that from top we have to be very transparent, very fair, uh, very, very, you can say, proactive, uh, no encouragement to politics, uh, no, don't create any stress situations, uh, create a lot of recreation along with work, or have some yoga classes for people, or meditations, so that people, they should release stress. Sometimes there is a lot of stress because of the work, because these days it's highly competitive world. So performance, there is tremendous pressure on performance. So it doesn't mean that when you are doing well-being, it means you are not making people accountable. We should not confuse. Sometimes people say, oh, you people are too much human, so you people don't enforce performance. So you people don't make people accountable. People take you for a ride. No, that may be the thinking of some people. But then I would say that is a very, very misplaced notion. So you should always be clear that we have to pursue these values, we have to live these values, and of course, we should not compromise on that.
Well, thank you. I think you very well demonstrated, and the kind of examples you gave, where the values and culture is those values in action. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, values in action, very, very important.
Correct.
And then, of course, you should encourage people to go on annual leaves. You should say that we should see that people taking their leaves or not. No, I've seen like you said that, but we need to do more. I have seen some people, they will tell their subordinates, oh, someone asks for leave, we'll say, nahi, nahi, yaar, don't take leave. You are required. We have so much to do, so much this to do. और छुट्टी मना कर देते हैं. I think those are the things which we should absolutely put a stop to it. We should encourage people to go on leave, spend time with their families. Suppose someone is entitled to 3 weeks or 4 weeks privilege leave in a year. We should see to it that he spends that time, quality time, with his family. And then, of course, when he comes back, he will come back fully reinforced. And it has another advantage. Uh, when that person is not there, you get to see another person doing the same role. Otherwise you don't know whether that person is developing his subordinates or not. So you should not become over dependent. You should encourage that people should take annual leaves. They should spend time with their families. Another thing which is creating to a lot of stress these days is that we had earlier one system in our company that if someone is joining us, we used to insist that if suppose you are working in so and so place, your family also should be there. Now, I have seen these days, the organizations don't insist on it. Now, your family is sitting in one place, you have joined at a distance place for work, and then always you will have situation where your family needs to talk to you, or you need to meet with them every day or very regularly. Now, if your system allows this type of things, it means you are compromising on the well-being of people.
Okay. No, I think your points are well made. I would say one thing though. Leaders, the top leadership definitely has to set the vision, had to set the values. But when it comes to execution and deep implementation, one of the things I find that it's very important to get ownership of employees. And in many organizations, I have found that like here in Bay Area, there are companies, they would say, okay, employee well-being is important. So, and they show their commitment. They'll put down, $1,000 per employee for, your physical fitness program. Or I'm sure you heard about how fancy food, like at Google, you'll find all food catered from around the, best possible chefs from around the globe. And one of the finest food in town here in Bay Area, you can go visit Google, right? So all those things are there. But if you talk to employees, I think it's very important to hear what employees' ideas of our well-being is. Because, like when I have spoken to some of the employees, they say, well, all those things are nice, but most important thing for me is to be ability to work remotely. And there is a kind of a tug of war now. Many employees I find in high-tech areas, they want to at least work 3 to 4 days from home. And organizations want them back at the job. Now, most of your employees, you are in manufacturing, so that choice is not there. I think employees have to be there, but your white-collar force and many other companies where the white-collar workers now, more and more information workers, they have the opportunity to work from home. And Zoom, fortunately, or other internet streaming activities have now provided a platform where we can talk very easily and very easily connect. So I gave you one example. There's a tug of war between employees, and now the employees' well-being, their perspective is they want to work remotely. And organizational perspective in some of the cases is no. We want you to come back. And in England, they have tried this 4-day week, which is worked out very well. So what are your thoughts? How do we resolve? How do we listen to our employees? And even though we have a top-down vision of well-being, how do we listen to employees' vision of what they consider well-being and find a good collaborative answer?
There have been instances where there has been a lot of misuse. people have taken up other assignments while they are full time on a particular job, and when you are at home, like some people are very committed. You can see that, of course, they are contributing, but some jobs are like that where you can't make out. So if people start misusing, I think that is where the gap starts coming in, and the organizations which have started insisting that please come back to work. Uh, I think they have experienced some of these instances as well, that people have what do you call them, moonlighting or something like that. People have been resorting to these practices, and then you erode the trust of the system, and then of course there are pros and cons of working from uh, home and working from office. I think you should allow some hybrid system with some proper checks and balances, uh, because eye to eye contact is also very important for teamwork. And if you are, most of the people are always working from home, I think teamwork will get impacted. And on the other hand, like when the COVID was there, almost 2 years, all of us worked from home, and we did an excellent job still working from home also. So working from home also has a lot of advantages. On the other hand, working from home has also created a lot of stress in some of the families, because most of the people at the resource level or at the operating level, suppose someone has only one bedroom house, because in India, most of the resource level people, they will have very small houses, and if in that house you have your family and you also have to take on the calls, it's very difficult. So those people had faced a lot of challenges working from home. So I think there are pros and cons. You have to assess the situation, and as I mentioned, you should have the flexibility. You should uh, assessing the situation of each company. Uh, One can take the call that what is better for each company. Some companies, of course, it will be 100% from work from home, work from office only, and some companies can say, okay, we are okay if this type of people can work from home for so many days, and then also their home situation also permits that. Uh, like some of the senior people, of course, they will have the larger houses, and they can have a separate room dedicated for their office, and they can do it very well. But some of the other employees, they may not be able to cope up.
Well, I think the very important thing, what you said was is the trust. There's the spirit of collaboration. It's the spirit of listening to your
Absolutely,
employees
that's very
and
important.
finding a solution. Yeah, that is very important. And I think it's again ingrained in the culture. So like in Aisha's culture, you already had that ingrained
Yeah.
mutual trust and
So we
listening to
trust we
employees.
trust our
Yeah.
people like anything. Like if you trust your people, half the job is done.
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
trust your people, you know, you should believe in that they will do a good job. You should not
Exactly.
doubt. Don't start the thing with a doubt in mind, that whether this person will be able to do it. If you trust your people, they will go out of the way to deliver.
So yeah, the trust is very important for the
Trust is
well-being of
extremely important,
everybody.
and the trust
Exactly.
has to be created. It doesn't come automatically.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Vinod, for your time. But before any parting comment for a company, how can they take the well-being of their employees? And for example, in the past, companies have treated employees as a sliced human being. You bring your bodies, give us your. If you're a white collar worker, give her your brain, but don't talk about your emotions. Don't talk about your stress. That's none of our business. And similarly, don't tell us more about finance. Yes, we will pay you good salary and we'll give you some benefits, but don't tell us about your social issues or your
That's
occupational
that's the
goals.
unfortunate part. That's
Yeah.
the unfortunate part, that today we are assessing everything in terms of money. So today we are assessing everything in money, but money can't be everything. There are so many other softer things which are very important. So we should adopt a holistic approach. Money along with all other softer. Like suppose someone is in stress, someone is not keeping good health. If you put a hand on his back, that is much bigger than money.
What is important is to really listen to employees. I think that, like, even
Absolutely.
in quality, when we were listening to employees, what is their idea of quality is, similarly, I think I'm saying we must, even though leaders have to have a vision and the values, like you said, and they need to practice those values, but I think leaders also must listen to their employees of where
That's correct.
what their idea is of well-being is, right?
That's the first thing for creating trust.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And once we heard the employees, then we can find a win-win approach, a collaborative approach.
And then you have to inculcate a culture of approachability.
Huh,
People should be able to approach if suppose there is some problem or something is not happening in his immediate hierarchy, they should be able to approach the next level
right.
without any fear. There should not be any fear of vindictiveness or uh, the escalation should be treated as a normal form of a process to
Mhm.
address the issues. No, I have seen a lot of companies uh, where you have the very good whistleblower policies. It's on paper and everything is there. But the moment someone files a complaint under whistleblower policy, the companies go out of the way to find out that who is this and how to stop him, how to indirectly take some action against him. So I think those are the things which kill the processes.
Right, right, right. Very, very good point. I think my last question to you is that even though, like, let's look, for example, quality was always important. I don't think I've ever heard any company say that quality is not important, right? But it required a new kind of emphasis on it and a tremendous amount of resources, time, and a structured way to do it. And that's where we were able to take a giant leap in quality, and Aisha became a leader. So my question is, well-being. What kind of structure, what kind of processes, what kind of time commitment resources are required now in 2023 to take it to the next level where well-being is always there, but how do we take it to the next level? Any thoughts on that?
The quality has become hygiene, in fact. So quality, like you can't take chances with your customers.
Mhm, mhm.
Uh, Therefore, if you are saying that you are customer oriented, then the quality is absolutely uh, the basic minimum thing that you must deliver. If the
Mhm.
customer expectations are uh, X, then you must be able to deliver X plus. So, like for example, in case of trucks, uh, we measure it in a various ways. Uh, that what is the state pass of our trucks? State pass means that when we sell the truck, first 50,000 kilometers, there should not be any unplanned stop in a truck. So this is very important. Now, if you have to ensure that the first 50,000 kilometers there is no unplanned stop, you will have to do maybe 1,000 things to ensure that. So then that has to be the rigor in the organization. That uh, that is very fundamental for us. No unplanned stops for 50,000 kilometers. So whatever it takes, we do that.
No, so my question is that, like, what quality is so important for the external stakeholders, similarly, how can we establish well-being equally important as quality for the internal stakeholders,
Absolutely.
which are
No,
the employees of the
it's
organization?
it's if you don't do that, you will not get anything. If people are
Yeah,
not,
but it's not happening now. It's happening to a degree. How do we
it's
take
happening
the
to a degree,
well-being of
then to
employees
that
to
extent,
the next degree?
you are compromising on performance. You don't even know that what are you losing. Sometimes you are making very good money. You are in a very good shape because of the various other reasons,
Mhm.
and then you forget that my potential is much more.
So it's
So
actually a company's loss because they're not counting.
you're
If
losing.
they're not really treating well-being of employees as important as the quality of their products, then they're missing out on their own
Yeah, you don't even
potential,
know
I
what are
guess.
you losing.
Is that what
You
you're
don't
saying?
even know that. You don't even know what are you losing. How much value you have lost if you are not concerned about well-being of your people.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And once again, your insights are very useful. And I'm sure many people who are listening to this will find it very useful. So all the best. And until we talk again, thanks for taking time.
Thank
Have
you
a
so much.
lovely evening.
Always pleasure talking to you, Dinesh. And we have learned a lot from you. We can't forget that.
Thank you for your kind words.
Thank you.